Hi there. Happy Thursday. Happy Thursday. It's one of those days where I almost started without having my computer plugged in. That would have been a very unfortunate happenstance had we continued without that. But it's okay. We grabbed the charger. We knocked a few things over in the meantime, but that's okay. We're here. We're ready to go, ready to hang out, and ready to chat. I hope everyone's doing well today. It's a bit cloudy here. I don't know why I end up just immediately going to the weather when I'm starting this, but I don't know. I just want to give you the vibe of where I'm at. Hopefully you guys have a bit of a sunnier day. But yeah, hello, welcome. Welcome to episode 25 of Overtures. It's crazy that we're already at 25. That's so exciting. But yeah, we're just gonna go ahead and kick it off and get started. My guest today is a Southern-bred actress based in Philly. She has been seen on stage in many a straight play, as well as a handful of children's shows and the occasional musical. She does a fair amount of teaching artistry with kids of all ages, working with various organizations to make theater and improv accessible to underrepresented communities. She's also a playwright who seeks to center stories that are both comical yet profound. She's an advocate of DEI work and uplifting minoritized people as a whole in all that she does. I'm so happy to have been able to collaborate with my guest on and off stage. She is truly such a gem, bringing all the positive vibes and giggles along with her. But actually, she'll put anyone in stitches. So I love her. I hope you will too. This is Sharese Salters.
It's me.
It's me. It's you. Hello. Welcome.
Hi.
Hi. How are you doing?
Pretty good. You just saw I ate some yogurt, so I'm feeling good about that choice.
Got the food in and we are ready to go.
Right.
That's one thing you and I can always agree on. As long as we have food in our tummies, we are good and ready to go.
Exactly. If any time that you're upset, you probably need to eat.
Yeah, it's true. It's
Yeah.
true. I always think of getting you guys getting out of the shop and stuff and walking to acting class and having your box of Cheez-Its.
Yeah.
We always knew you needed a snack in between.
Hello. Hello.
Hello.
I'm doing
I
it for the
mean, guys,
community. I'm doing it for us.
exactly. That's what we need, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, how do we know each other? Villanova, of course.
Yeah.
We were in the same cohort, and I think we easily became friends simply because we had all the classes together, but also because we got to work on Orlando.
Orlando.
Ugh,
Sweet, sweet Orlando.
it was such a great production, but also Sarah Rule is a boss.
Yeah.
And then we have James Imes directing. So truly, how
Yeah.
could you? Yeah, can't get better than that.
Yeah, I think I was working on some production. They asked what was one of your favorite processes? And I
Mhm.
definitely was like, Orlando was just a good
Orlando.
time,
Yeah.
man. We were just so young, so full of
Yeah.
energy, and James was just being himself. It was amazing. I
Yeah,
think,
it's oh, there's a million props and things scattered on the stage.
yeah,
What if we just fucked around and created this thing?
yes, such a good time. Love that, James.
It was so love that, James. Love that, James. But yeah, we were in a production of Midsummer Night's Dream together. We did most of Merrily and then Slap Happy.
Ooh.
Am I missing anything in terms of I don't think there's any other shows that we did,
No, I don't think.
but yeah. We worked together in the shop our second year. Good old scene and prop shop.
Yeah, sawdust,
So all
tired,
that stuff,
all the stuff.
paint,
Yeah.
all the stuff. And honestly, I'm trying to think of a class that we didn't take together at Nova. I know
Um,
I took directing and you took something else one
yes, I took,
semester.
uh, what was the class called? Oh, performance studies under
Right.
communications.
That's what it was. Yeah. But I
Mhm.
think other than that, we had all the classes together,
Yes, yes,
which
the
is
answer is yes.
fantastic. Playwriting was such a blast with you, and I was so lucky to be able to direct your 10-minute play, A Trip to the Zoo, which we will be watching a little bit later,
Yeah.
for the virtual play festival that you and Kirsten Shagru organized.
Yeah, that was an undertaking.
That really was.
We didn't expect it to be an undertaking, and then we were like, "Oh, that's a lot of stuff.
Yeah,
Okay."
right.
Yeah, but it was cool. I had a good time with that, and I feel like
Yeah.
everyone who was involved had a good time, which is my biggest concern.
Yeah. Yeah, especially because, like, it was part of Villanova Theater's, like, studio show in that it was all student fully produced, like, it's not like we were necessarily getting facilitation from
Yeah.
faculty, so, of course, the main goal in many ways is just to have fun.
Yeah,
You know,
absolutely.
it's not for anyone else other than ourselves necessarily.
Yeah.
So, yeah, no, you guys did a really great job of making sure it was fun, and you got a little bit of taste of producing in there.
Yeah. Thank you. Thanks. I was actually just in Kirsten's room yesterday, and I was
Mhm.
like, "I need to figure out what to do with my play." And I was like,
Big
"Do I want to produce my own play? No."
You're like, no."
No. But I was like, I guess if it comes to it, you do what needs to be done.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. I mean, here's the thing. You're in Philly, which is such a wealth of people helping each other, with such an amazing, loving theater community that, like, I don't know. I think hand off the scripts to a few people, see what happens. Because I love your writing, and I know that many others also will and do. And anyone who's watching will, just from the taste that we're going to watch. So, but yeah, going back to the very beginning, how did you first get started in theater?
so this is a funny question because when I was on the children's tour during the Q&A, that was like a constant and common question, like, how'd you get started? And every time I answered, which you will not be surprised, but like to the kids, they're like, what? And my tour partner, who has a very interesting sense of humor, was like, it's because she's old. And I was like, I am literally a year older than you.
You're like, "Stop that. This is lies."
Yeah, yeah. So I started when I was 5, as many people do, and to the kids, they're like, "5? That was like 6 years ago. How am I gonna catch up?" I'm like, "You don't have to catch up."
You don't have
Anyway,
to. You're like, "I wasn't doing anything profound at
yeah,
5." Like,
yeah. Like, it was like an Easter play at the church,
yeah.
like, simple things like that. When I was 5, then I feel like I kinda did church stuff, and then when I was in 5th grade, we were doing 101 Dalmatians Kids, the
Love that.
musical.
The musical,
The
no less.
musical, yes, and I auditioned, and I remember they had us sing Happy Birthday, which
Cute.
is fun because 'cause they're like, "That's a song everybody knows, like, you don't have to be anxious about it." But I
Hmm.
wasn't sure if I, like, wanted to, like, go all out on the Happy Birthday
Mhm.
or if I should just sing it straight, so I just sang it straight. Uh
Actor's choice.
Yeah, yeah,
Actor's
exactly.
choice.
Exactly. So I sang it and I got like, well, it's in like narrator number 4 and
Mhm.
dog catcher, which I was like really
Ooh.
excited about. I was like, I love narration. I like reading. Um,
You weren't
but
excited about the dog catcher part necessarily. You were like, "Narrating? Oh, hell yeah."
yeah, yeah. I'm like, you want me to set the stage? I'll set the stage. So I was really, really pumped about that. And then a classmate she got Cruella de Vil. Something happened where she like wasn't showing up to rehearsals. I don't know. I'm sure it was outside of her control.
Yeah,
But she like was not
especially at
showing.
that age.
Yeah, he was not showing up to rehearsals, and they asked me like, "Hey, do you want to read for her in the rehearsal?" And I was like, "Oh, sure, why not?" So I read it, and then I feel like they very casually like, "It's yours now," and I was like,
Yeah.
"What?
What?
What?" So I was Cruella de Vil. That's correct. Yeah,
That's I really hope that there's either pictures or video of that somewhere, because I need to see Sharese Salters, one of the sweetest human beings I know, playing Cruella de Vil. I
great.
think that's hilarious, but I love that so much.
I will ask my mother to find the pictures. She has them.
Did did you have fun playing it, or were you kind of like, I don't know, because I know I've personally had trouble, like, playing the bad guy because 'cause I'm
Yeah.
like, "How do I do that?" But I can imagine you probably had a lot of fun with it.
Oh, I had the best time. It was amazing. It was a little bit of drama for me to suddenly become Cruella. I remember a
Yeah.
classmate was like, "You took her part." And I was like,
And
"How?
you're like
How? How would I have done that? How?"
the drama.
But drama aside, like I had a great time. I don't remember any of the songs at all, but I had two goons.
Probably because the musical didn't, or the movie does not come with music,
No,
like
no. Disney was like, but it does stay.
it does now.
But I had two goons. I remember I had like an evil laugh. It was so good, like the
Yes.
typical like that sort of thing. It was awesome. I had the best time. Shout out to Cruella de Vil. May she never be around puppies.
Wait, have you seen Cruella on Disney Plus? I haven't watched it.
No, I am. So this summer, this summer when I was working with the middle school, I can't remember why someone made the Cruella de Vil reference, but one of my they're all my favorite kids. So I'm not even
Of
gonna
course.
say which one in case they don't follow me on social media because they're in middle school. But one's really cute. She was like, "I want to get your email." Very adorable. But
I
one
love
of
that.
my many favorite students was like, okay, Emma Stone. And I was like, so that's your reference point, huh?
That's where we're at now.
I,
You're like, I don't know how I feel about that.
I,
You're like, I know her from Easy A. You know her from
yes,
Cruella. Like these are
thank you,
we are in
thank
two different
you.
places.
I, I was like, I
We are
feel
not the same.
no. I was like, I feel uncomfortable. I love Emma Stone, but that's just not what I'm gonna say. Emma Stone, from Cruella de Vil, like
Yeah, no, not what you say. You know, from Easy A.
Easy A, The Help,
Yeah.
Aloha. Um,
I don't think if anyone was to ever say, I know, oh yeah, Emma Stone from Aloha, I would be like, I'm sorry. Wait,
yeah,
what?
no, you gotta come on. We can pull up Netflix now and
Oh man.
find.
We can find much better, honey.
Yeah,
Oh my god, that's so funny.
yeah, the
Emma,
kids.
Emma, Emma. But yeah, no, crazy kids. I also love that. They're like, "Can I have your email?" Like that sounds like something like I said when I was that age. So I love the fact that it's still
Yeah,
email.
it's
Like
good.
I would have expected like, "Can I have your TikTok?" or like
Mhm.
something like that.
I would have been like 100% no.
You're like,
Um,
No, no."
I will block you, child. Like my TikTok is very like PG
Yeah.
12. Like it's there's nothing like wild on TikTok, but I don't want the children to see my single girl content
Yeah.
because they might go, she's sad. And I'll go, I'm not sad. I'm just single and I'm making fun of it. Like
You're like,
so
"Don't feel bad for me. I'm laughing. You
yeah,
should be laughing
exactly.
too."
Exactly.
Oh
But
my
then,
god.
yeah, so no children, you cannot follow me on TikTok. Some of my high schoolers do, and I love them dearly. I do feel like maybe we shouldn't have done that, but what can we do about it now?
Oh my god. Do you want me to link your TikTok below for anyone who's
Go
willing to
ahead.
or like okay,
Go
cool.
ahead.
I'll
Have
make
at
sure to put
it.
that later.
Thank you.
um yeah, no problem. So then so you got your start as Cruella de Vil. And fast forward later on, what ended up being your like overture light bulb moment of like, "Oh, this is what I actually want to do with my life though."
Great question. So I didn't act in middle. Well, I acted in middle school. I didn't act in high school. I took
Mm.
a
Oh, really?
Yeah, I took a semester's musical theater in which we did a legal version of Rent, which just means that we sang the songs with like teen monologues mixed in between about teenage angst. So yeah. I had this one part that was like, "Hey Sunbar, can I get a ride on your skateboard?" And that was the end of that monologue. I think I had a more
Oh my
serious
god.
one, but I can't remember. So I didn't do, and I was in Hairspray when we did Hairspray as
Fun.
ensemble. But other than that, I really like theater. Like took the back burner, and I was like, okay, let's like because I was in orchestra and chorus, well, choir, of course.
Yeah.
Um, and I just felt like my parents would be like, you didn't have to do that. I felt like they bought me this expensive violin. I should at least like try to like play it for a few more
No,
years.
that's fair, that's fair. Get
Yeah,
your money's worth out of it.
exactly. So I was like, okay, theater is gonna do its own thing. I took mock trial senior year, and I like loved it. I loved it. I loved it. I loved it. And I also tried to get in a theater class and like it didn't work out because it's supposed to be like I'm in regular drama this semester, then the next semester I'm in like talented and gifted drama, but then like they messed up transcript and I ended up in chorus and it was whatever. So I took mock trial and I was like, great, a lawyer. That's what I'm gonna be. So I went to undergrad and I initially went in as undecided. And then I decided to do theater because a prosecutor had come to class and talked about how you don't need to major in pre-law to go to law school. You can
Right.
major in a lot of things. And a lot of these law schools will find that interesting that you come with this other experience. So I was like, great, I'm gonna major in theater and then I'm gonna go to law school. So then I majored in theater and I got in my program. And I feel like you and I have talked about this a little bit too, where it's like you're in your program and you're like, I love this. Why is no one putting respect on my name? What is happening here? What's going on? Why? I'm confused. Yeah. So I was like not getting cast, but I was like, I still love it. That's weird.
Yeah.
Like,
you're like, I'm not getting the attention I deserve, but I'm still happy to be here.
Yeah. So I was like, well, here I am. I remember what was the show? I didn't get cast, and I think I didn't get cast in 12th Night, and I was really upset about it.
A mistake. Sorry.
Hey. I didn't get cast in 12th Night, and I was really upset about it because I was just like, I thought you could have put me in there. And I thought I did a good audition. The only thing about Shakespeare is like, I always find Shakespeare auditions really interesting because at least now this is like my second time auditioning for a Shakespeare thing, and they don't give you the side beforehand. And I don't understand why we do that. I'm like, it is not like a super easily like digestible language.
Yeah.
And
you
so
need some practice with it a little bit. Like you and I are both like very familiar with like Shakespeare and iambic pentameter in general, but like sometimes those words have a few too many consonants that are the same and I want to be able to like read it a few times, or like maybe I didn't catch the joke the first time. Like give me the chance to like digest it.
Exactly. Like some of these things you literally have to read 5 times until you're like, okay, it makes sense. And sometimes you have to look it up and go, what does this mean? You can't do that in a cold read situation.
Or at least like read it like a few times to like decide what acting choices you're gonna make.
Yes, exactly. Because there's not really like a right or wrong way to do it. There is a wrong way, but it's just like when it doesn't make sense. Like you can make it mean a lot of other things. Like there's this guy, I don't remember his name, but he was doing, I think, not Macbeth. He was doing, what's the other big one? There's Macbeth. Wait,
Hamlet?
no, Macbeth is the Lion King, right?
Hamlet.
There you go. So he was doing Hamlet, and I saw this TikTok of it, and I was like, oh, beautiful. And he was like, to be or not to be? That is the question. And people were like, that's so like digestible, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, yeah, you you have these opportunities when you're doing the Shakespeare to like try to make the most sense and be the most like relatable content. But anyway, so I had auditioned and I think I like went and I asked the director like, hey, can we like have a conversation just about like what I can do to improve, like blah blah. And she said, yeah. She said that she thought that I made good choices, but that I could be a little bit more bold, which I thought was really interesting because I don't know what that means. Well, I like do know what that means, but also I'm like, well, if you're
I'm like bigger, faster, louder, like usually bold doesn't mean anything.
Yeah. I just like if I've made a definitive choice, I really don't know what more to do about it. Like I can make that choice more nuanced, but I was like, I don't. So I go home and I cry in the bathroom. And my roommates are like, how are you doing? So boo-hooing.
As you do, yeah.
Yeah, snot running down the nose, the whole nine. And in that moment, as I'm crying on a toilet, I was like, and I'm here forever. And I was like, I was like, and I'm gonna keep doing this. I was like, what? That's wild. So that was my moment. That
I
was
love
my
that is
moment.
that realization that you're like, I'm crying over not getting this role, but also like kind of crying because you're like, I'm gonna do this forever.
Yeah, yeah. I'm like, I really love this. Oh my gosh.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's so funny.
yeah,
That's like it makes perfect sense though.
yeah, yeah.
Like you're like I'm sad because I didn't get it, but I also know this is gonna happen again.
Yep, yep, and I'm going to continue to try. That's
Mhm.
that's interesting. Interesting take,
Yeah.
Sharese. Yeah.
Interesting and lawyer went like out the window.
Yeah, I always tell people now, I'm like, "Oh, maybe when I'm like 50." And they're like, "Really?" I'm like, "Yeah, why
Yeah,
not?"
just go back to school, it'll be fine.
Yeah, but yeah. Yeah.
That's so funny. And you're such a funny human, but also such a great comedic actor. Was there anything in particular that brought you to comedy specifically?
Yes, I feel like we talked about this in characterization.
Yeah.
I really love the Golden Girls, and
Yes.
my parents were literally like, "Why is this 12-year-old watching these old ladies?" And I was like, "They're hilarious. Can't you
Yes.
see? Can't you see it?" Right? And
Yes.
yeah. So really, I think the Golden
Owe
Girls
it
was
all to the
like
Golden Girls.
yeah, it was like a pinnacle show for me, like all these different characters, but all very, very funny, which I
Mhm.
feel like is kind of hard to do in a show.
Yeah.
Usually, like I'm really big on the straight man,
Mhm.
to like almost to a fault, where I'm like
Yeah.
somebody has to not be because you can only have so much ridiculousness in one space,
Yeah.
and
That's why The Office works. Jim is the perfect straight man
yeah,
because all this insanity is happening around him, and you just need that one person to do the look to the camera, and that's
yes,
all you need.
yes, which I feel like they did with, B. Arthur, if I
Yeah.
remember. Yeah, but
But
even
she's
so
so funny to her own point too, like
exactly, exactly. Like, so whatever the formula was, they got it, and I think that was one of my biggest things where I was like, "This makes sense. This
yeah.
is good."
Also, I'm just throwing this out there, I can talk to you more about it afterwards, but a Golden Girls, like, unauthorized puppet show is coming to the Theater Row, this summer, so you should come see it. Anywho, we'll talk
Okay.
about that later.
Yeah.
Um,
Yes. I love puppets.
yes, exactly.
You know
Um, I do, and when I think of you as a comedic actor, I always think of clowning. I remember when you were doing this it was in, Principles of Acting. You were doing this, like, seemingly never-ending task, but the stress of it for the clown was absolutely hysterical. I just remember it was like, you just, like, were stressfully, like, kept stacking these things and, like, removing them and restacking them, but there was never, like, any particular goal, and it was so funny.
It was a good time. I also remember that. I think that was literally the first time I ever clowned. Because
And
they
you aced it.
I was like, they sure did not teach it at my undergrad. My
Yeah,
program
no, me
was so
either.
small that like I feel like there were a lot of things they could have taught, but
Mhm.
like who would have taught them is
Yeah. That's like, "Oh, I have to go bring someone in," and sometimes that's not always in the budget, which is
yeah.
unfortunate.
Yeah, exactly. So yes, that was I was like, ooh, this is nice. This is good. Like this is like both stupid and smart. I love it.
It really is. It's that mixture of, like you say, stupid and smart where, like, for example, James is the one running the exercise, but I think that was the day where it was like, you have to make us all laugh,
Yes.
and you don't sit back down in your chair, like, and be done until you're done until you've made us all officially laugh.
Yeah.
And that's so much harder than people think.
Oh yeah. Like
That
that.
one always made me, like, a little, like, nervous.
No, it's a lot. And I definitely wasn't like, put me in first, coach.
Yeah.
It's so weird. Like I find clowning and performing in general to be so strange because like remember when we did that exercise where like we were standing in the circle and we held eye contact until it was just a little uncomfortable.
Yeah.
It
You
was in
had
that
such a hard time with that.
it was in that moment that I was like, I don't want to be perceived. And I was like, so what does this mean? If I'm like literally don't look at me. And yet I'm like,
don't look at me at all.
and yet I'm like, look at me. Isn't that fun? And I have no idea. Like no one has cracked the code
You're
on what
like
that means.
you're like, the jury's still out on what the hell
Yeah,
that means,
yeah,
but
yeah.
it'll come back later, I'm sure. And
Exactly.
we can reference this exact point when
Yeah.
you do figure it out.
That's right. That's right. I'll play it. I'll put it in another solo performance about my life.
Yes,
And I'll go,
exactly.
and
There it is.
who knew that 5 years later I would
She
figure
figured it
that
out.
out? Yeah.
Oh my god, I love that. And, like, speaking of solo performance, you are a writer as well. You and I both know I love your writing. Your stage directions often feel like I'm talking to you or you're talking to me during the play or, like, during
Mm,
class making little jokes and things like that.
yeah.
And obviously we've worked with, Dr. Bess Rowan, who has studied stage directions and is perhaps the leading person when it comes
Yeah.
to stage directions in academics. But did anyone else in particular inspire your style of stage directions when you write?
Yes. So I do feel like, and part of it is just because I think I need to read more like contemporary female playwrights. But I feel like, I don't know, I feel like there's not enough stories about women.
Mhm.
So even though this play is 2 women, 5 men, but the women are the center and the men are literally like there. Like I
You're like,
remember, yeah, yeah. I remember Zach was saying that they're like a chorus, and I was like, yeah, like these are their background, their backup, and I felt really good about that. But I really like stories centered around women. I've not really tried to write stories about men because on top of not really understanding them, I have no
you're like,
idea. Yeah, no, what's the point? On top of that, I'm like, we need more stories about women. Like looking for monologues and stuff can be really, really hard, especially like if you use a monologue book, like you're like, I don't know what's going
well,
on or why I
also,
should care.
like like, not to bring it back to, like, the Bechdel test, but dead ass, like, I was looking for new monologues the other day, and, like, all the ones I mean, granted, I need to go back to the drama bookstore and, like, start flipping through some plays, but, like,
Hmm.
from what I was finding, like, online and, like, those kinds of resources of published plays, every monologue is a woman talking about a man,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
it's stupid and frustrating.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I'm thinking about my two like comedic. Really, it was supposed to be one, and I'm like bringing a monologue back that I thought I like put to bed.
Mhm.
But they're both about 2 women talking about their boyfriends. One is like her boyfriend is really, really terrible, and she's breaking
Mhm.
up with him. You know that one.
Yeah.
And then the other one is one that I've never done. Literally haven't done this monologue since like 4 years ago at this point. But it's this woman who is a terrible girlfriend, and it's a standalone monologue. But she's talking about how like she hit him with her car, and she's like, and I'm sorry, like I'm really sorry. Of course, I'm sorry because if I wasn't sorry, I might have lied like I did before. Like when I gave you gonorrhea and I didn't tell you, and I lied and acted like you gave it to me. Mm,
So I am sorry this time, I
that's right.
swear.
That's right. I've come so far. Like we come so far, but
And
they're
those monologues are so fun, but it's like,
yeah,
again, it, like, has that in mind. But
yeah,
no, when I think of your stage directions, like, I think of I mean, not perhaps to the absurdist friendly nature, but, like, I think of also, like, Jackie Sibley's Drury in Fairview, and I think of even James, he has these moments of, like, "Here's some information you should
yeah,
know."
yeah.
And I think that's so fun.
Yeah, definitely those two. Definitely Brandon Jacobs Jenkins.
Yes,
I
yes, yes,
really
yes.
like I just like the idea.
Even a little Sarah Rule in there as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah, I really love like when Bess was introducing this idea, I was like, that's amazing. Because honestly, I'm sure you've had this happen too, where you're in a room and it says you sit down and you're like, I don't really want to. Like I don't want to sit down.
Yeah.
It's written, but I feel
You're
no
like, "I have
reason.
no motivation to do this."
Yeah, like you're like, that just doesn't feel right. But the director's like, and then you sit down and you're like, but I don't want to. And like, there's really like, if you have a director who's more collaborative, they might be like, well, don't sit down. But like, there's like no room in the play for you to like just like go over why was this person sitting down? Like, what was
Yeah.
and I know people will say like a lot of that is because like the stage manager is usually taking down the blocking and then that's what's incorporated.
Yeah.
But regardless, I just love this idea of like being like, hey, you could sit down or maybe you walk around or maybe whatever makes you
Do
look busy.
do what feels right, or like the effect of this.
Yes,
And
yes.
yeah. And I think that your opening stage directions for A Trip to the Zoo is a perfect example of this. So I'm going to play just that opening part. So
Yeah.
for some context for those watching, this is a clip from A Trip to the Zoo, the Zoom live reading that we did of it, that I got to direct. It was so much fun. But this would be like the opening stage direction for it. So let me share that on screen. Oop. Oh, of course I pressed replay. I'm the worst. Hold on just a moment.
Sing it, Laura.
Thank you. Thank you. Sometimes you just got to sing it out,
That's right.
Okay. This should be good.
A Trip to the Zoo, a play by Sharese Salters. The sound of a zoo is heard in the darkness.
Penguin sound.
Yes, this play is actually about a zoo. No fun play on words here. Now, when I say the sound of the zoo, I mean like lions and tigers and bears, oh my, but also the sounds of popcorn and little kids yelling little kid things and the Dippin' Dots being put into the container. Lights up only when the ambiance has truly been established. We are looking at, surprise, a zoo. Because this is a play, the animals will have to be in closer proximity to fit on the stage. Anywho, we see a compact exhibit of lions, tigers, bears, oh my, penguins, and sloths. For legal purposes, there will only be one animal per exhibit. A mom and dad walk up to the exhibit with their 10-year-old child. No need to have the child nor the animals played by children or animals. Get creative. Now, back to the introduction of our family.
And I'll stop it right there because then we get into the joys of actually watching the full thing. I'll link that down below too because the whole thing is a trip and a half and it's so much fun. But yeah, no, I love that opening stage direction because like you offer options, but you also set the tone by making jokes with us.
Yeah.
And I think as it develops, and like not to be giving any spoilers away, but like the stage directions become a character in a way, literally and metaphorically. And so I
Yes.
think that that's a perfect example of that because you're like, I'm gonna make jokes with you and become your friend, and it's because I'm also a character.
Yeah. No, it's always so nice to have a like gotcha moment in the play where you're like, wow, look at that. We've come like full circle.
Yeah, no,
That's
absolutely. And it's so fun because then it offers you that like thought of like, when I do produce or have someone else produce this, like Michael Hollinger, our playwriting professor, was talking about, was like, do we include those stage directions for everyone else to hear too, or is it just the cast members to know, etc. And
yeah,
that's a fun dilemma.
that's something I've still been like grappling with because I totally understand why people are like, this would be great in the play. And I'm like, but it is in the play.
You're like, but it is.
It's already here. Whenever I'm writing my stage directions, or in the new process, because my first like playwriting class, he felt pretty much like playwriting is a very specific way. I
Yeah.
remember he told me like the character description should not be too long. Now, I went to the play store when I was in New York, and I got this play. I think it's called Black or Blacks, and it's spelled BLCK and maybe an S. I haven't read it yet, but like inside of it, each character has like a full paragraph
Oh
about
my
like
gosh.
what they like what's like it's like this person likes grilled cheese, like stuff like that, which I'm like, exactly. There's no real like way that you have to do it. But he was saying that because one of my plays that I wrote for class was like, think Blossom. This character, blah, blah, blah. Think Buttercup. This character, and he didn't get the reference. And I'm like, well, if you
Wow.
don't get the reference, don't come to me, pal. That has nothing to do with me.
But then also, like, I think that then jumps into like dramaturgy too. Like
Yes.
if they have a such and such air about them, and like a playwright names a character or thing of that time, then like that was for the people reading it at that time. And if you
Yeah.
don't get that, then like you can look it up.
Exactly. So just sort of like discovering that there's so much that you can do, like that's not specifically written in the play. And every time that I write my current stage directions, I always write it like I feel like I'm writing like a love letter to the play and to whoever is going to do it. Like, hey, you haven't met me and maybe you won't meet me, but like here is me, so you get an idea of like where this is coming from.
Yeah,
And I
no,
think that's
totally.
nice.
Yeah, it's sweet. It's a little hug from the playwright being you. And we love a good Sharese hug. And what's fun is that like you were just mentioning, like including like Blossom, Buttercup, that kind of thing. Your style of writing definitely like flirts with different mediums such as like television and film. Like in the play that you ended up working like a fuller length on for class had a bachelor-esque game show in the middle of the play, seemingly impossible nature things like in cartoons, like with into the like a trip to the zoo, the animals talk, that kind of thing. And I think those are fun because like those aren't things that you normally see in a play, but are actually kind of fairly common in television and film. And I think that really speaks to you as a person because I find you to be very articulate when you watch and or talk about TV shows and films you've watched. Which of course then leads me to the question, have you seen Bridgerton season 2 yet?
Okay, so no, but I was so anti.
I think you would like it better this season. I
I
really
know.
do.
I know. I was so anti because I thought in the first season, like I thought the first half was like so good, like they really had it going, and then I thought the second half was like I
No,
was
I get that too.
yeah.
But like this season 2, they literally like keep kind of going up right to the very end.
I
It's
know.
very Jane Austen inspired. I think you would really like it.
Yeah, no, I have to watch it. I have to watch it just because people have been talking about like the South Asian girlies have been like, it's me, I'm here, I'm represented, and I like it. And like
Yes.
for those reasons alone, I must watch it.
No, truly. And that same actress and I'm blanking on her name. I also know her from Sex Education.
Mm.
Cause she's like I think she's one of like the popular girls in that. So it's very funny to then see that overlap. And I'm like, oh, this is a very different
Yeah.
character.
Okay, range.
So yeah, I think you'll very much enjoy it.
Oh,
But yeah, no, I think it's really cool to see how much like your love of TV and film collides then with your playwriting as well.
thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, of course, of course. And you were a props assistant at Villanova. My doorbell just rang, and I'm just letting it happen because I'm not expecting anyone.
Like, did you get a pizza?
No, I didn't.
I would have been so excited for you.
I know. I would have been like, what? I'm also wondering if it's someone here to work on something for the apartment, but they didn't tell me. I don't know what to do in this scenario. They didn't tell me. Huh?
Do you have a peephole?
I do. So I guess if you just want to like hang out for a sec.
We'll check the peephole. Gonna clear my throat in the meanwhile because I have phlegm. Whoever's out there, mucus. Am I right? Oh, it's a person. Eavesdropping. Was it a DoorDash?
No, it was like an exterminator.
Okay.
And he's like, I'm here, like, I like the monthly service. Like you do it. I'm like, I don't do this every month. No.
I'll
like,
take it for freezy.
I'm like,
but...
I've heard him like knock on other people's doors before, and like we don't like unless it's something with the building that's not in my lease.
Yeah.
I'm sorry for this interruption, y'all.
No,
I was like,
fine.
I don't know what to do. I hope you had a fun time hanging out by yourself.
I did. I left.
Did I miss anything?
Yeah, you'll have to go back to 41 minutes and see what happened.
Oh my gosh. Well, thank you anyone who's watching now and in the future who can bear with that, who bared with me in that moment. Anyway, props assistant at Villanova. At Villanova, you were an assistant in the props shop. Did you find that anything that you learned there influenced your like journey as an actor or playwright? Because I know obviously you didn't necessarily know about props before you started doing it, but by the end you were very much like, oh yeah, I can do this, I can mix paint and all that other stuff.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And it's like it's like kind of strange because I feel like a lot of people come, but I don't think that's necessarily true of set and props. I feel like marketing and costumes is made up of people who typically like really like they came in with marketing or costume experience, or they want to go into that field or something of that nature. And I feel like props and set is kind of the one where people are like, hey, I want to go to school real bad. Can you pay me money? And they're like, yeah, do this thing. You're like, all right, cool. So I definitely feel like I like end up in props, and I really hadn't. I think I had worked on props one time before, like, and I can't remember what the show is called. Light Up the Sky. It's like super old, and I remember I like dyed money to make it look old. But yeah, I hadn't had any props experience really before, and I learned a lot of stuff. And it's like when I go watch theater and now I look at these little things and I'm like, wow, that's really amazing. And I wonder how they did. Like that's the like strangest thing now is that every place I go, I'm like, I wonder how you did that. I want to like stand on the stage and I want to see how it was constructed. And that never happened before.
That's really cool. And I am interested like whether that'll affect you as a performer later on or like in your writing at all.
Yeah, I think it's definitely something I'm going to think about. Like what was I watching? Oh, so I'm sound designing Kenzie's thesis.
Oh, amazing.
Yeah, and I'm sound designing it, and I am like so pro sound. I'm like, put sound in wherever. And I'm like, well, don't overdo it. But I'm like, if there's room for sound, let's set the stage because I think it makes such a difference. I was thinking about Black is the New Black, and how I also basically sound designed it inside of play.
Yeah, I'm like you sound design your play inside the play.
Yeah, which I do feel bad for whoever the sound designer is. I'm sorry, but you can take your liberties. But I was like, I historically have not really given any attention to the set. And now or props or anything like that. And now I think I am a little bit more mindful of it. And I probably will be even more mindful of it. I feel like the older I get, like there is, I don't even want to call it a new play. I'm going to call it a playlet because it's so small. And I also have no idea what it is. There's a playlet that I started working on a year ago. And then I stopped working on it shortly after I started. And then a year later, I went, oh, there's this thing. And I haven't really added a lot to it. I don't know if it'll become anything, but in it, there's a thing where I'm like, like this is IKEA furniture. And I was like, yeah, that's definitely not something I would have really given any sort of thought. But I'm like, but it looks like it's from IKEA. Yeah. Is important. All furniture does not look like it comes from IKEA. No. And so I was like, wow, look at that. It has a mark.
There you go. Left its mark.
Yeah. Yeah.
I love that. I love that. You also teach theater with kiddos of all ages. Some people love teaching kids, love working with kids. Some absolutely hate it. What is it that you love about it?
I find that kids always surprise me, and I already go in and I feel like I go in and I already think the world of them. But like I feel like they constantly say things that make me like think about things in a different way.
Mhm.
They have a really interesting way of looking at the world that's not necessarily how I look at it. Like I remember last summer I started with the high schoolers, and they were trying to guess how old I was, and they were wrong. It's okay. They, for whatever reason, it seems like in academia, people by and large seem to think that I'm older than I am. And outside of academia, when I'm just living, if I'm like living my life and in the zone, people are
Mhm.
like, "Oh, look, it's a cherub," and I'm like, "How did you get this?
And you're like, "No."
Yeah, how did
You're like,
we?"
"I have a full master's degree, honey." Like
Yeah, like at camp, they kept telling me, like, people kept saying, and these were younger people too, but like, one of the junior counselors was telling me, like, that their mom thought I was also a junior counselor. And I was like, what? And one of the kids we were asking, like, how old they thought we were. And one of the kids also thought I was a junior counselor. I was literally the oldest, like, teaching artist there, and I was like, I don't know why my happiness seems so like has used me so
youth.
much. But all to say, I find like we're just in such different parts of our life. And that's what I think is so like fascinating. Like I was, you know, my high schoolers, probably one of the first things they would say about me is that I didn't have insurance because I didn't, and then I thought gas prices were really high. And they were like, I guess that's like the sign of like an
Being an
adult.
adult.
And I was like,
You're
it
not wrong.
absolutely is, right? But
Yep.
like they've got this whole like thing going on, and I kind of feel like it reminds me of like a butterfly. But the weird thing is like they go through the process multiple times.
Mhm.
So like high schoolers, I find to be like, well, it depends on the high schoolers, but they can be really like sort of shy and self-conscious, and that really starts in middle school. It doesn't typically elementary school children don't really have that. They might be
Mm-mm.
shy, but not necessarily self-conscious.
Right.
Um, and it's like just interesting to see them like how that affects what they do, how that affects how they act, how that affects like what they say.
Yeah,
And
especially in,
then
like, theater games and things
yeah,
too.
no, exactly. And then to see them like be able to maybe overcome like their stage fright or just like I don't know, they have these like hot takes that I think are amazing, like Emma Stone being Cruella de Vil. Like, they just have this like way of looking at the world, and they have like a real youthfulness, which is weird because I feel like we too have it, and yet I'm like, your youthfulness does not look like my youthfulness. I am
Yeah.
tired. I am tired. When I work with the elementary school kids, they're all my favorites.
They're
One of my
exhausting.
many favorites, yes, very cute kid, had this idea. So the first week was like under the sea or in the submarine or whatever. And he was just like, so in the submarine, there'll be like a ice cream parlor, and there will be all these things. And then the ice cream
Hell
parlor,
yeah.
yeah, there will be 72 flavors. And I was like, oh, that's a lot of flavors. And he was like, yeah, because it'll be flavors of ice cream that people don't like as well. And I was like, oh, okay. And
Like jelly beans.
yeah. And he's telling me all this. I'm actively laying on the ground trying to take a nap.
You're like, "Mhm. Mhm."
I was like, there's no reason. Read the room. I'm tired. But he just really
Mm-mm. You have to know about those 72 flavors.
right. He just really
Mm-mm.
like he was like, I have to tell you.
Specifically.
Yes, I have to tell you because like you will get it. And I'm like, okay,
Like, sure, I guess.
I'm here with you. And it's like just like the little weird, beautiful, strange, funny people that they are is
Mhm.
amazing. I can't remember what the exercise was. I think it was Sad, Glad, Mad, Frad. which is just a game where you give them a scenario and they have to act out whatever that is. So it could be like your mom is late to pick you up and you have to be glad about it. And so they'll be like, woohoo, mom, blah, 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 blah. And I think I was like, what are the scenarios, folks? What are scenarios? And I think one time there was a kid standing up. Somebody was like, you lost all your clothes. And the tiny child proceeded to cover his private parts, which I was like, this is amazing that you're like in the moment. I think we're done with the game. I think we're done with the game.
No, that's fair. That's fair. Oh
yeah, but like the fact that he didn't even think about it, he was just like, that's what you do.
He's like, all right, that's what's happening now.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm like, it is that like dedication, that easy commitment that I really love. And even like the high schoolers who are less,
the acceptance of reality being like so quick, being like, okay, cool, we're here now. Like,
yeah.
And so I guess going off of that, like, especially in those moments where it's like, okay, I think we're done with the game now. Do you have any particular like tips for those who aren't necessarily sure how to work with kids?
Sure. I think a lot of it is like, I think you have to accept that about where you're at and sort of just be comfortable to hop in and be unsure, which I think is a thing that like a lot of us are uncomfortable with as people. Mm-hmm. I feel like there has been very few times in life where I've entered into working with kids where I've been like, it's me, I'm that bad. You know, like I'm usually like, oh, I hope this goes well. And it's weird. Yeah. I'll reach this moment where I'm looking out and I'm like, they're like 12. Why was I nervous? Okay. Why was I nervous? But it can be very intimidating. And I don't necessarily think that goes away. So it's just a matter of like going in the room with like sort of an open mind, open heart, mm-hmm. whatever they say, open whatever, and being like, hey, I'm going to learn things from you and you're going to learn things from me ideally. And like, we are going to have a good time. And I do have stuff to share with you to teach you that maybe you'll think is cool. And just allowing it to happen and like bringing out your inner kitty is always my favorite thing. That's why I like working with them, because I'm like, I too am a child. That would be my suggestion. Like, just do it, go unprepared, but also be prepared for things not to work. And just go with it. Like, don't freak out. If you freak out, they'll freak out. So like, you gotta be calm, and I'm sure whoever it is can do it. Go ahead, have at it.
Absolutely. No, I think that's really, really great advice. And speaking of working with kiddos, but sort of in a different way, you just got done with a tour of like a children's show. What tell us about that? What was the production?
Yes, so it's with a company called Bright Star Touring Theater. They're based in Asheville, North Carolina, and they're a children's touring company that goes pretty nationwide. There are a few different children's, like big children's theater companies, touring companies in America, but they've been like open since 2005, and I signed on with them because I was looking for work and I found them online, and I had actually applied for them before, and it was a very strange time. So I applied for them again on a whim. Mm-hmm. And then I like got an interview, and the interview was really, really great. And they were like, so I had this interview in like May, April, and they were like, all right, we want to sign you on for our winter tour. And I was like, great. And then I was like, what? And then I did stuff in the meanwhile. And then our tour was about Black history programming. There are 3 shows. It's the Black History Hall of Fame, Rosa Parks and Friends, which is more about like civil rights and political leaders. Mm-hmm. And then there's Heroes of the Underground Railroad. So they're all just about these different sort of points in time with Black history. And we would go around to a lot of schools, sometimes libraries, one time a theater, and we would do the shows, and sort of it's what I call edutainment, which is, you know, just like, hey, let me tell you a story, but like cool, sort of like Hamilton. We did not rap. I rapped, but we don't have to talk about that.
You're like, I did. No one else did. It was a thing.
Yeah. But and then the kids really, really were into it, which I loved. Every time like doing things, I'm always like, you know me, I'm always like, how could we make this like a little, so I'm always taking notes in my mind about like how, if I was to do this again, what would I do differently and stuff like that. But at the end of each show, there's a Q&A, which I think is really cool. And it depends on how long we can be there, but it's typically like 5 to 10 minutes, and they can ask whatever questions that they want to ask. And they did, we once did the show for like high school, which it's not for high school. Somebody was like, sing the Will Smith song again. And I was like, that is not a question, dear child. That's not a question. I did it anyway. But like they have this opportunity to ask questions that they want to know. And sometimes they're like really serious. Like this one little kid, I couldn't see her, but she was like, have you ever been treated different? And I was like, my God, child, I do not need to go.
You're like, I don't need to relive that. But
right. But
especially
I'm like,
in this 5-minute talk back. But
yes.
like, what do you do in that situation? You know, like
you just answer very quickly, and you're like, yeah, it's true. Sometimes people are really mean and they have a lot of hate in their hearts. Yeah. And we have to put our energy towards the people who don't, and continue to make change. But like, so the Q&A I thought was really important for them as little people, to be able to have an opportunity to try to digest what they just watched. And then like, it's also like, when in this little girl's life would she be having this conversation? Like, would she be having those thoughts, those questions, if we weren't at this point together? And so it was stuff like that. And that was basically a tour. We, excuse me, my phlegm. We were on tour for 8 weeks. We hit like 13 different states. We did over 12,000 miles of driving. Yeah.
Crazy stuff. Especially when like you guys are the ones like taking it on tour. You guys are the ones driving, all that good stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, crazy stuff. I'm so happy that I was able to like catch up with you and get lunch like while you were on tour. Like it was so fun because Sharese had texted me and was like, hey, I'm in New York City for approximately like 6 hours. Like, can we get lunch? And I was so glad that I had my day off that day. But yeah. And we're pretty much coming up to the end. I wanted to touch on one last thing. One thing is that we always like to chit chat about, which is like, being an actor is hard, especially being a young actor is hard. Yeah. So just, I guess we're going to take this quick moment to acknowledge, like, it's hard. The burnout is real. Be like your Overture moment, I guess, like, just keep going. We're going to cry over the roles we don't get, but like, that's why we're here.
Yeah. And you're constantly improving as an actor. Yeah. Like even if you whatever period you go through where you're not working, you're still improving as an actor if that is your focus and you're still putting in those audition tapes. Or if you're like, I need to take care of myself, that's only going to make you a better actor.
Yeah, because if you as long as you're taking care of your inner child will be able to help you later to access those emotions. Yeah. But if like your inner child is like, no, I'm sleeping, I can't do this, and you try and keep forcing it, like nothing's gonna happen. Like
no. All in due time. There are a lot of us. There are a lot of actors. Doesn't mean that like, oh, there are a lot of people, I'm gonna give up. There just are a lot of people, and that's just the reality of this work. But you know, you go in. I used to think that they were kind of lying when they were like, you know, you should go in an audition and have like, just have a good, like, you're performing because you love to perform. And I was like, that's BS. I want to be asked.
And then you're like, oh.
Yeah. I was like, no, you really are doing it for your own gratification.
Yep.
Yeah. This is
it's like, wait, I get to go into a room with a live accompanist and sing.
Yeah.
I'm going to have fun, damn it.
Yeah,
like,
exactly. Yes.
Yeah. Yes. Acknowledging that and like taking a moment. It's like, we're doing this because we have fun doing it. If you're not having fun, take care of yourself. Go eat some Cheez-Its. Like,
yes, please.
Go take care of yourself, please. Oh my goodness. And with that, I think we've come to the end here. Where can people find you on the internets and that kind of thing?
Yes. So you can find me on Facebook. I am a Facebook gal, like an old woman.
Same.
Yes, I love it, love it, love it. My Facebook is Sharese Salters, like my name. You can also find me on Instagram. My Instagram is also Sharese Salters. I've been debating about if I should make like a public one because I'm private, but we'll see. We'll see how it goes. And you can find me on TikTok at Reese Likes, Reese likes, the word likes.
Love
That
that.
makes
Love that. Yeah, I know. I keep going. I'm like, should I make a TikTok? And I'm like, but that sounds like so much like work and all this others. I'm like, I don't know if I can do that to myself.
sense.
I know you're always gonna be like, do it,
Yeah,
do it,
yeah.
do it.
Come on.
So we'll see what happens. You can find me currently on Instagram and Twitter at Lora_Marjoram. Also my website, www.loramarjoram.com. You can find the show Overtures on Instagram at Overtures Show. There's 2 S's, but I promise it's correct. And then if you're here, welcome. You found the YouTube. Congrats. Give us a like, a subscribe, comment, follow, all that good stuff. Subscribe and follow specifically so you can get reminders of the upcoming episodes. And yeah, I post the most like updated who's coming on next and all that other stuff. People can submit questions, fun stuff on the Instagram. So make sure to follow both if you're going to do that. But yeah, next stream is going to be a week from today at noon with my friend Gabe Cohn. We went to theater camp together. It's been such a long time since we've chatted. It's going to be a lot of fun. But yeah, Sharese, do you have any final thoughts for viewers live and in the future?
Sure. Drink water, eat food, take naps, be happy, go for walks. This life can be rough. Don't make it rougher. Say no.
Exactly. And with that, I hope everyone has a great day, and we'll see you later.